back to another video. You guessed it, a Disney video. Now, I have been wanting to make this video for quite a while, like quite a few years. Ever since I did my top 10 Disneyland hacks. If you never saw that video, I will pop it up on the screen and link it down below for you guys. And in that video, got a ton of views, a ton of comments, and a ton of questions. And one of the main questions that I got because I did a top 10 Disney World hacks was, what is better, Disneyland or Disney World? And I always wanted to do a Disney World versus Disneyland video, and I just never felt entitled enough, equipped enough, and ready enough to do it, that I had been to both recently enough that I had an adequate opinion. And ladies and gentlemen, I now feel ready. I just went to Disney World in September and I just got back from Disneyland this October. So I'm ready. I'm a little bit sassy and a little bit amped and I have a lot of opinions, but the main part of this video is I want to hear your comments down below and your thoughts on which is better, Disneyland or Disney World. So if you guys want to hear the full verdict, I'm going to take you through my top 20 questions and basically measuring points as to which is better once and for all. And let's get down to business. If that's something that you guys want to see, then just keep watching. Now, if you guys aren't already aware, I post a lot about my Disney trips, my travel, my life, my Disney outfits, all over my Instagram. So if you guys aren't already following on Instagram, it's just at Angie Bellemare all over the interwebs. I'll pop it up on the screen right here and you guys can go follow along. But without further ado, because I know that you guys just want to get into this, let's do the damn thing. So the first measuring point, I have 20, is park hours. So which is better in terms of how much you can enjoy the park, how long you can go, extra magic hours, all of that. Now, having just come from Disneyland and Disney World, I can honestly tell you that we had way more time in the parks in Disney World. There were, yes, extra magic hours in Disneyland as well as in Disney World if you're staying on property, but in terms of the park closures and just options to stay in the park and enjoy things, I have to say, and this is why I said I would be a little bit sassy, I was honestly super disappointed that Magic Kingdom in Disneyland is closed down every second night or every third night for the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, which is great if you're going to that, but let's say you don't have tickets or you've already gone, then your only other option is California Adventure. And if that closes at 9, which most nights it did, then your only other option is to go to Disney, Downtown Disney, and if that closes, then what the heck are you supposed to do? And that is my beef with Disneyland right off the bat, is that stuff just isn't open as much. And if, worst case scenario in Disney World, if all the parks are closed, usually there is one park that's open pretty late because of extra magic hours. And even if there is a Halloween party or Christmas party or whatever going on, you still have Disney Springs, Downtown Disney in Disney World, which is usually open till midnight or 1 a.m. We found that this trip that was not the case, so 1 point awarded to Disney World. Now the next topic, which I got asked a lot about, is hotels. Hotels overall, the experience in both are great. Now I will say that you obviously have way more choices in Disney World to stay on property. On property in Disneyland you have 3 options and all of them are pretty pricey. But that being said, and that's a full other category, the just choice of hotel is pretty even, considering the fact that you could stay at the Howard Johnson right across the street from Disneyland and you could stay off property, and that's totally reasonable. But if you had to choose to be on property, you are very limited in terms of Disneyland versus Disney World. And at Disney World, you have every choice from a campground to a deluxe villa. So for that reason, 1 point again to Disney World. Our third measuring point is crowds. Now, yes, at different times of year, obviously the crowds will fluctuate. I will link below my favorite crowd calendar. I will also make you guys one because I feel like that's something that Andre and I follow when we go to the parks, and we always take that into consideration. Now, having been to Disneyland quite a few times now and Disney World, I do feel, and I promise Disney World will start to, you know, slack in these categories, but right now it's just gonna take the cake for a little minute because I need to get this off my chest. Disney World will handle their crowds way better than Disneyland. And Disneyland, I feel, because it's such a smaller space, it just can't handle the crowds because so many people will just decide, hey, on a whim, let's go to Disneyland on a Saturday or a Sunday, which doesn't really happen as much in Disney World because Disney World, I feel, is really a commitment versus a fair weather, you know, weekend trip, which also means that the quality of the crowd isn't always superb and might include a lot of drunk teenagers in Disneyland. So for that reason, again, Disney World takes a point for crowds. All right, now jumping into my two favorite categories, and these each count for a category: food and drinks. Now, in terms of just variety, quality, price, you know, overall experience of food, obviously, again, Disney World will take the cake because the different options. Things stay open longer, which is going to be a whole other category that I'm going to get into. But in terms of drinks, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to Disneyland and Disney World, but the choice of drinks, if you aren't having beer in Disneyland, it's really not at your disposal, which can be frustrating. You know, in the middle of the day, if you want to have a cocktail or if you want a cocktail with your dinner, if you're staying in the Disneyland park, if you're in Magic Kingdom, you're not drinking at all because there's no alcohol in that park whatsoever. So that kind of limits, not that it's all about drinking, but let's be real, it kind of sometimes is. So if you want a cocktail in the Magic Kingdom park, that's not happening. And if you're in Cali Adventures, there are beer trucks, like beer little canteen type of, you know, one area on the pier. And then there's a margarita, there's Rita's Margaritas, which is great-ish, and I'll get into that. And then there is it used to be called the Cove Bar, now it's called the Lamplight Lounge. And then there's a couple other spots here and there. But other than that, I think you can get sangria at the area where Coco is. And unless you're in a restaurant, then that's about it. And there's that Italian winery area. But in terms of cocktail game, I really feel like Lamplight Lounge was about it, which we experienced. It was okay. The food selection wasn't great. I think that it used to be way better. I heard when it was Cove Bar, I never actually got to try it. But Lamplight Lounge, I would say, was super disappointing. And Rita's Margaritas, well, I had the strawberry margarita and it honestly tasted like peanut butter and it freaked me right out. The girl was super sweet and made me a lime one instead. It was good-ish, but honestly, if you're comparing that to a Grand Marnier slush in Disney World, there is no contest. Same with the food. The food game, honestly, is kind of weak. We don't really do dinners in Disneyland. Lunches, I will say, are amazing. Blue Bayou was great and all that, but that being said, Disney World can hang on that side. So for food and drinks, 2 points, one for each to Disney World. And moving right along. All right, so the next point is accessibility. This is your ability to move through the parks if you want to jump from park to park or just get to the park, how easy that is to do. Now, in terms of getting to the parks in the morning, you can walk over in Disneyland. You don't have to get on any buses, especially if you're staying on property, it's great. But even if you're staying at a nearby hotel, you can walk right onto the property. You can get in line for Magic Kingdom or Cali Adventure, and you're right in there. Same thing goes for if, let's say, you go into the Disneyland park and you want to hop out and go to Cali Adventure because maybe the lines are too long or you just want to switch and go to a different ride. It's really not an hour-long process as it sometimes can be in Disney World, where you have to catch a bus, you have to wait for the bus, you have to transfer, you have to go to all these places, catch a monorail, whatever. And it can be kind of long. So in terms of accessibility and just moving, your ability to move from park to park or just to get in line for the park in the morning, it is A+. And the coolest thing is, let's say you're done for the day at either one, you can head to Downtown Disney, which is right there. So you basically have one, they call it like an esplanade main landing area. You've got Disneyland on one side, Cali Adventures facing it, and then you've got Downtown Disney, and then the exit on the other side. And now what they've done is they've actually put security points at the exit, or the entrance and the exit, and at the entrance and the exit of Downtown Disney. So if you want to just roam from side to side, you're good to go. You don't even have to clear security again. So on that standpoint, Disneyland takes that one hands down. So 1 point for Disneyland. All right, now a big question that I get is, oh my gosh, are you not so upset about the ticket prices going up? I'll just be honest, I didn't even notice because I just feel like, you know, more diehard Disney fans that are willing to pay the price, then so be it. It is what it is. Ticket prices will go up as they continue to build more rides and have more attractions. I just, you know, can't really say anything bad about Disney to me. I don't really care. So that being said, the ticket prices for Disneyland are quite a bit cheaper to get, even with the FASTPASS Plus, which I'm going to talk to you guys about. That's a little, I think that's a little bit of an add-on. I think it's $100 per person for the length that we stayed. We stayed for 5 days, and a lot cheaper than the Disney World tickets. So that being said, 1 point for Disneyland. All right, now in terms of shopping opportunities, as I like to call them, the shopportunities, for, you know, the Disney store, even in the parks, what's around the parks, just your opportunity for getting Disney merchandise and Disney goodies. I would say that it is pretty freaking equal. And this category, I will award a tie. Now, for the next category, I wanted to categorize this as like the warm fuzzies, the nostalgia, the like kid at heart, and the history of Disney. And I don't know if you guys know this, I am a huge fan of Mr. Walt Disney. I love him. He's probably the one person, alive or dead, that I would want to meet. I think the world of him. I think that he's wonderful. And same thing as the Disney company. I hear no evil. I think that he's the greatest thing. So with that said, Walt was obviously alive when Disneyland was created, so there's a lot of elements of Walt in the park, you know, even from that 11 a.m. I don't know if you guys have ever caught it. They do it some seasons and other seasons they don't have it. I have caught it before where at 11 a.m. they do his welcome to the park announcement, and it's amazing. And then in the shows even, like the World of Color show in Cali Adventures, how the one with Neil Patrick Harris, he was a part of that. The history of the park is just so freaking cool. You know, you can see down Main Street, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can see Elias Disney written in the window. Like there's so many different touches that Walt was a part of that I just think is so special and so cool. Even just the history of the rides, like the Matterhorn and the original rides like Splash Mountain and Space Mountain. That stuff has been there forever. The teacups, it's just way more nostalgic and way more cool. So hands down, Disneyland is going to win for that one. So 1 point to Disneyland. All right, now you guys all asked me if I would be going for the Halloween party, the not so scary Halloween party, since this is Angie's not so scary YouTube party. And you guys, I didn't. I know I disappointed you. I have no excuse. I didn't go. We didn't do it. We are gonna do Mickey's Christmas party though when we go to Disney World. But that being said, we really got to experience the Halloween vibe. So I wanted to name this category like holidays and how well they do Halloween specifically. I will do a whole other, you know, version of this for Christmas time, because the only way that I can really measure this is through the fall and Halloween, because I've done Disney World in the fall pretty much every single year for the past, I want to say 7 to 10 years. And for Disneyland, I've just been there. So what I would say is that, you know, they both do a really great job, but I was shocked this year at how well of a job, not necessarily the Disneyland park. And by the way, when I say Disneyland and I'm comparing Cali Adventure, I mean Magic Kingdom. I see them as like two separate categories. But Magic Kingdom versus Cali Adventures even, Cali Adventures was like on another level. So where Cars Land is, where, you know, that main Carthay Circle area is, just everywhere was so well done. So much attention to detail. I think even with that new Tower of Terror, the Guardians of the Galaxy, even with that new ride and the lights and all the lights in the trees and the sound effects and just how much effort they put into it was insane. At night, it was so cool. And I didn't even feel like I wanted to go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party because it was so freaking cool. The vibes were insane. Now that being said, I don't know if you know this, but the Haunted Mansion on the other side, in Magic Kingdom side, still in Disneyland, gets completely redone for Halloween. It's all Nightmare Before Christmas. So they'll keep it through the Halloween days and then into Christmas. And it is, again, so much attention to detail. You would never even comprehend how much they overhaul it. And then they also do a special rendition. I can't say that I saw it because I'm too much of a pansy. I didn't go on Space Mountain, but apparently that's completely redone for Halloween as well. It's like a ghost thing. And I just have to say that Disneyland, I don't know if Californians just really take Halloween seriously, but they school Disney World in this category. You know, Disney World does have Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, but that's it. And they decorate Main Street and it pretty much stays at that. Now, has that changed? I don't think so, because I was just there for fall. Maybe heading into these months, they might do it more. So if you guys know more than I do, let me know in the comments. But I have to say, man, I was really impressed with Disneyland and their Halloween vibes. So for that holiday section, I would say that Disneyland gets 1 point. Okay, so I often get asked this question, how, if you've never been to either one, if you've only ever been to one, a lot of people ask how Main Street is and how the vibes are and how it's different and, you know, are some things the same? The layouts, you know, it can get really confusing because the layout is kind of similar, but there are a little bit of differences. And one main difference that you will notice right away when you're walking down Main Street is the castle. So if you go to Disney World, there is Cinderella's castle. It is huge and it's like white with the blue and it's beautiful. And then you get to Disneyland and you're like, womp womp, Womp. Every time I go to Disneyland, I'm like, it's so little. It's pink, but it's little. So that one is Sleeping Beauty's castle. Hopefully I have that right. And it's really cute and it's really nice. And I know it was the first one, so obviously they did Disney World after and got bigger and better and it was great and everything. But I have to say that if you've never seen both, a direct comparison, like you can't argue me on this one. One is way better than the other and one is way better for the photo-tunities. But that being said, they're both glorious, they're both beautiful, but Disney World is just way better. So 1 point for Disney World for the Main Street vibes, for the photos of the castle with that as a backdrop. So let's just call it castle. 1 point for Disney World. All right, so the next category, and I know that we're going completely out of order here and the sequence of these doesn't really make sense, but I kind of want to just cover everything and every question that I ever get and every question that I would have. The next one is fast passes. So in Disney World, you have a magic band. Or if you're staying off property, I think you have like a pass. But either way, you can tap the pass or you tap your magic band and you can book your fast passes ahead of time in the app. You get 3 fast passes a day. If you used up your 3, I think you get 1 extra after that. After that, I don't really know what happens because I've never done that, but it's pretty painless and you can book them up to 60 days in advance, so you're good to go. Now, in Disneyland, what happens is when you get your park tickets, you can actually pay $100 more. I'm pretty sure it's about $100 more, for at least for the length that we stayed, and that's called FastPass Plus, which honestly, when I first heard about it, I was like, I don't get it. But I will tell you what happens. So there's the same thing. There's an app. You can only book your FastPass, Q Stress City for the families with 6+ people, once you enter the park. I feel like it's like off to the races. Whenever I first heard that, I was like, what about the families with a bunch of kids or like family, like 2 groups of families? Pandemonium. So this is what I witnessed because we went with another couple. You walk into the park, the app knows when all of your tickets have been scanned. You can then book your fast pass, and you better hope that you're all together and you're all paying attention and that your app works on the Wi-Fi or on the internet, because it can get really freaking stressful. So some days, we would get into the park and we were able to get on a ride, we would grab our fast pass and we would go and it was no problem. Other days it was kind of frustrating because it says that you can book your fast pass, and let's say it gets close to the time of the fast pass, it'll let you know, hey, at 11, let's say you've entered the park at 9, at 11 you can book a new fast pass. If you go and do that, at least happened to us, it'll cancel your other fast pass. So I will say that the usability and the frustration of the FastPass Plus feature is honestly just stupid. Like, it was frustrating. Why wouldn't it be attached to our ticket? You can book 3 fast passes and you're good to go. Again, totally entirely different animal, but I told you guys I was gonna be sassafras. I have a lot of opinions. You guys let me know what your experiences were with the Magic Band and Fast Passes in Disney World versus FastPass Plus in Disneyland. Let me know down below, but definitely 1 point for Disney World on that one for the Magic Bands and the 3 fast passes plus a day. Now with fast passes, the next category I want to talk about was wait times. Now, I wouldn't say that any park was worse than the other. You've got Cars Land, which usually has the worst wait times. Peter Pan's Flight is literally an enigma to me in both parks. It's always busy in both parks. It's a great ride, but it's just like, if there's less than a 40-minute wait, go on it or get a fast pass. But in terms of wait times, you've got Pandora in Disney World and you've got Cars Land in Disneyland. And then in between there, you've got the mountains and you've got Soarin' and a couple other things, but it really does even itself out between Cars Land. Definitely the Radiator Springs Racers usually has about a 70-minute wait on a regular season, 60 to 70 minutes. And then Pandora can go anywhere, Flight of Passage can go anywhere from 70 to 120 minutes, which we even saw that on Radiator Springs while we were there. So it really is up to you, but I will say that both queues, waiting in line for them, which we've done, is enjoyable. And if not, then get a fast pass right when you get in the park if you're lucky. So with that being said, tie for both Disney World and Disneyland for wait times. Now, I quickly mentioned this Downtown Disney versus the Downtown Disney in Disney World. So in Disneyland, it's still called Downtown Disney. In Disney World, they've now transferred the name to Disney Springs, which is beautiful. And I think that the vibe, the size, the newness, the amount of variety, the restaurants, hands down, Disney World takes the cake on this one. I feel like Disneyland was really lacking. A lot of stuff was closed. The Disney store was completely under renos. That being said, it is under renos in Disney World as well. But just in terms of restaurants, in terms of times that it's open, in terms of shopping, it really was like a landslide for Disney World to win that one. So Disney Springs takes the cake on that. So 1 point for Disney World. Now, in terms of fireworks and shows, I already quickly mentioned this with World of Color. That's one of my favorite shows. It's not really fireworks. There's a lot of fire, there's a lot of lasers. It's really a light show. They like spray water and stuff. It was actually closed while we were there, but it is one of the most beautiful shows. It's on the pier, which is one of my favorite places in Disneyland. It's in Cali Adventures, and it's amazing. And so with the parades and everything that we saw, I really do feel, and I don't know, again, this is totally like just my opinion. I'm trying to do it as unbiasedly as possible. Let's be real, I'm totally biased. I'm not even gonna pretend. I was gonna say this. I'm trying to be unbiased. I'm full of opinions today and full of sass, and I totally understand that, but I want you guys to engage, and I really want to hear your opinions on this. But being in Disneyland, I really felt like we had more opportunity to see the parades and to see the fireworks because there's so much more accessibility, because you're hopping from park to park, you're in the parks maybe a little bit later, and you're not necessarily stuck in a restaurant because there's nowhere to eat dinner that's really good. So you kind of just grab a snack on the go, and you have way more opportunity to see, you know, Fantasmic that's right there in front of New Orleans Square in Disneyland, and the parades are happening, and you know, it just so happens that we witness them way more, and I also think that they're incredible. And so with that being said, I say Disneyland wins it because it's just easier to see them and less of a structured time that you have to be there. And there's so much more going on because it's smaller and more condensed. You can literally just run to one and catch it in time to watch the show. So if you have little ones, you don't have to wait. You know, we saw a lot of people sitting on the ground waiting with sleeping bags and blankets and stuff like that. You don't have to do that. You can honestly just walk right up to a show. One of my favorite shows that I got to see was the Coco show. And it's just really like on the pier, impromptu. I think it's at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It was amazing, and I got such cool footage of that I'll share with you guys. And that's the type of stuff, like, it just happens on a whim in Disneyland. So for that, Disneyland gets 1 point for fireworks and shows. Now, hotel prices. This one I'm amped about. When I booked our hotel for Disneyland, I literally laughed out loud. The prices of Disneyland hotels, there's 3 Disneyland hotels. There's Paradise Pier, there is the Disneyland Hotel, which is where we stayed, and there's the Grand Californian. We've stayed at the Grand Californian before. That's the most expensive one by a little bit. And then the Disneyland Hotel's in the middle, and then at a reasonable-ish price is the Paradise Pier Hotel, which is about $289 a night. Yes, you heard me right. That's their reasonably priced hotel. And by no means is it a beautiful hotel. So we stay at the moderate one because I just like it. Again, the history, it's really cool. Walt's pictures are everywhere, and they have like this singing thing over your bed when you like flick the light. It like the fireworks go off over your bed. It's beautiful. And there's great restaurants. Steak 55 is in the hotel. So for that, I like it. But it's around almost $400 to $500 a night, depending on when you're staying. So, holler. Now, at Disney World, you can stay at the campsites for $55 a night. You can stay in a value hotel for $99 a night, like the All-Star Sports, All-Star Movies, All-Star Music, Pop Century, which if you ever want to go on a reasonably priced vacation, that was Andre and I's first trip together, and we went to Pop Century 3 times in a row. We love that hotel, and I would suggest to anyone that is on a budget or has a big family and they just can't afford to stay in one of the more moderately priced hotels or the villas or whatever, Pop Century is amazing. The restaurant is amazing, the bus system is amazing, and I think I just checked, it was $110 a night. For what? Like, for it to be on property, to have extra magic hours? So I'm sorry, there's no comparison. I think that the Disneyland hotel prices is literally like highway robbery. Now, that being said, if you want to stay off property at Disneyland, you can. We've stayed at the Marriott nearby in Disneyland, and when we were younger, we stayed at the Howard Johnson, which was dirty, dirty cheap. But I feel like as soon as you step off the property, you kind of lose the magic. So I just love staying on property, and you get all the bells and whistles of staying on the Disneyland property. So that being said, hands down, Disney World wins for prices and value and bang for buck. Disney World gets 1 point. Now, restaurants. I already touched on this a little bit, but I have to say that I was super disappointed at the fact that the restaurants in Disneyland decided to close at 8:30 when the park closes at 9. So we wanted to go into Carthay Circle in Cali Adventure during a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, so obviously only Cali Adventures is open. The only place to eat was in Cali Adventures, and things are closing at 8:30. So obviously there's a little bit of frustration, right? Like you wanna grab a drink. Even the margarita stand was closed, the beer stands were closed, and never have I seen a restaurant or a drink stand close when Epcot closes at 9. That Grand Marnier slush, I know that I keep using it as an example, but that Grand Marnier slush cart in Paris closes at 9. It doesn't close at 8:30. So for that, just in terms of accessibility, getting to the restaurants, the amount of variety that they had, super frustrating that there wasn't more of an option or more of an access to be able to go to these restaurants. So then you can obviously go to downtown Disney if you're staying in Disneyland, but that stuff closed pretty early as well. I think the closing time for that was 10. Now, obviously it's seasonal and I'm talking about fall, but super weird and super frustrating that the variety was already so limited, and then the time aspect of it and closing early was super frustrating. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but if you have, please, like, I want to have like a full discussion and debate with you guys in the comments because I get super amped about this stuff. So for restaurants, hands down, 1 point for Disney World. Now in terms of extra attractions, so obviously Disneyland has, you know, all of its surroundings. I know that there's Universal. I'm not even, listen, total side note asterisk, if you wear Minions anything to Disney and you tell me that Minions is Disney, I die. Like, I can't. It's Universal. It's a whole other situation, and I don't even want to talk about Universal. I think Harry Potter's really cool and everything, and I know that that's in Disney World or in Orlando, but a whole other conversation. So yes, there are other things around, but that's everywhere. So just talking about the parks and what's available, really Disneyland just has downtown Disney, whereas Disney World, because of its sheer size, I read somewhere that Disney World is the size of San Francisco. I don't know if that's true, but that seems excessive, but I believe it. It's literally like, it's huge. So anyways, in Disney World, you've got 2 water parks, you have a racetrack, you have Disney Springs, you have a miniature golf area. I know I'm forgetting things. There's so much that they have there, which is absolutely insane. And so I think that just in terms of extra attractions to go during the summer, during the winter, you have a lot more options, especially if you have little ones or you're just bored of doing the parks and you want to do something else. Definitely Disney World takes the cake on that. No, so for the last, you know, overall experience category, I have to give it to Disney World. I never thought that I would ever say one park is better than the other, and my answer has always been, well, it's the same and they're both great. And they are both great, and they are, you know, depending on where you live in the world, obviously one is probably easier to get to, or one might be more affordable or more doable, or you might just love one more because that's what you did as a kid. But I have to say, having done these back to back and going through this whole list, Disney World wins. So with that being said, the tally, 14-8, Disney World wins hands down. If you guys enjoyed this video, or if I got you amped up and you guys want to have a little bit of a debate in the comments, totally welcome to. Let's have a chat in the comments. Let's talk about it. What do you love most at Disneyland versus Disney World? What do you love most at Disney World versus Disneyland? What are your quirks that like just irritate you? What are the things that you love that the other park just doesn't have? Let's talk about it. Let's nerd out together. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Obviously, hopefully you know that this video came from the heart. I know that's a little bit of a longer one, but it was requested. It had to happen. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, dudes.